I'll be running tonight's meeting. The first item on the agenda is a Five Forks Farm discussion about the proposed irrigation pond. Mary, could you maybe provide us with an update on your communications with Town Council?
Yeah, so for Five Forks Farm, I talked to two people. I talked with the engineer that's been working with Grace, and he explained that the pond is going to be entirely fed by precipitation, and that's not groundwater, and that's the plan. And we talked a little bit more about, if he's seen if this has been successful in the past, and he says it's really a last resort for them to do, but that it has worked before. And then I reached out to Town Council, and they said that because an irrigation pond would be exempt for agriculture because that's specifically listed in the Act. So irrigation ponds are exempt, and the question was whether the land was going to be in agricultural use where the pond is going to go. And she said that because the pond is owned by the Lambs, or that area is owned by the Lambs and is adjacent to where they've been actively farming, that would qualify as land in active, or it would qualify under the exemption. So that's the update from the attorney for Five Forks Farm.
Okay, just one housekeeping question. I am unable to start my camera. Did anyone else have that problem today? I know most of the members are not showing up on my screen. I'm not sure if they're sharing their screens or not.
Tom's here.
Okay, so maybe just a problem I'm having, but at least you can hear me.
I'm here, and I'm just muted and camera's off. That's all.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
Same. That's what I've been doing. I leave the camera off unless I'm speaking.
Okay, I just want to make sure that it was working for the rest of you. Good. Okay, so I think the other thing, Mary, I just want to mention one thing. I understand it. You reached out to NRCS, and they were at this time weren't willing to provide their plans. All we have been provided is a concept plan that shows the location of the pool. If you look closely on that plan or on that sheet, it says it's one of 14. So there are a whole number of plans or sheets that we haven't had a chance to review. And Mary, correct me if I'm wrong, but NRCS said they weren't willing to share it at this time because it was draft.
Right. The two reasons. One, that it was draft, and then the second reason is they work solely with the applicant, with Grace, and so any plans that we receive would be through Grace and not through them. So it's basically they didn't really felt it wasn't there. They weren't allowed to share the plans to us without Grace having approval.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Mary, this is Grace. Did you get my email this afternoon about updated plans? Did that not come through to you?
No, that did not come through.
Oh. There are, that's weird. Let's see, let me try to forward them to you. I just got updated plans around 2:15 today on it, but I wonder who I sent it to then. So it's not that they're unwilling to share the plans. I think it's because they have yet to finalize things, that it'd be a little could be sending it a little too early. But here it's more or less the same. Let me see if I could find this. Weird. Let's see. Perhaps it got rejected because it was too large.
Oh yeah, that's possible.
How large was the attachment, Grace?
12 megabytes. It's 2 pages. I know I've had trouble in the past sending plans via email. Mary, I think I just sent it to you just now. And if those didn't go through again.
You just update and see if it came. Just arrived. Okay, yeah, this is different. All right, let's see if I can share this. Maybe I better download it first. All right, can you guys see that?
Yes.
Yes, we can. Yeah. Okay, so I'll just say one thing. This plan makes a whole lot more sense to me than the other one did. So, okay. As I understand it, I suppose Grace, your engineer, isn't on the call, but the plan appears to me that they are diverting flow from the current small pond into the proposed new pond. Is that correct interpretation? Grace, Mary, anybody?
Yeah, that's what it looks like to me.
Hi, this is Jim here, Hollis Hills Farm, Grace's friend that's going to be doing the work here. It appears to me, as I had spoken with Bob about this, that the flow is diverted, yes, into the pond, but we're not changing any of the flow going in, and the flow going out is in the same spot. Essentially, you're looking at a distance of maybe 200 feet where the pond will be that is included in the existing channel. So there's no change necessarily upstream or downstream. It is the one location where we're looking to create this holding capacity that would essentially be changed.
Well, does anyone on let's have the commission speak first. Does anybody have anything they'd like to say about this plan at this time? Rest of the commission?
Oh, hi.
It is.
Marcella here. I have a question about, just what water does. Is any water that flows in, from the top of the property across the street down to Warren Brook, wherever it lands, is it available for agricultural use? It feels like we're talking about the same water, no matter where it flows to or from. Is that, am I thinking like water?
Right, so are you saying that, I think I understand what you're trying to say. You're trying to say that, say, water's coming across here, maybe it ends up in the irrigation pond. And how is that different than the water that comes across here and ends up in this pond and goes that way? Is that your question, Marcella?
Sorry about the dog. Yeah, just not, no matter where that pond is, it's going to take up water that's on that land, whether it comes down as rain or whether it drains through the ground as groundwater to the pond, if that's possible, or if it's coming from the existing pond. I just want to know if I'm reading that correctly. Is that really what happens? Or, is rain considered if this is going to be rain filled, is that considered a separate water source altogether from the water that ends up in the pond that's there now? How is that regarded?
Yeah, that's a good question. Certainly we know water, if you think about it in terms of like the Colorado River, they are always pulling water out of there and it doesn't get to the ocean, is my understanding. So if water is diverted from the natural flow down to the wetlands and into the irrigation pond, it is going to impact the wetlands to that extent. And then the question is whether that impact is exempt. Like we talked about, the irrigation pond is exempt, but maybe that was assuming that it was rainwater. I don't know. That may be another question for town council.
Yeah.
Mayor, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just kind of, confused about how, if the water source has any bearing on what is considered agricultural use for the water.
Mm-hmm.
Are you wondering who owns the rainwater as it comes down the pond, or
not ownership so much as like?
Yeah, it's like the Colorado River. They divert it, so who owns it once they take it?
Well,
so my question is the pond connected to the original pond, the new pond? Is that a connector?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And which way is the water going? From?
To the west.
Yeah, it'll be going from the old pond to the new pond and then continue on, presumably, if there's any left to continue on.
Now, the plan we looked at last meeting looked like the pond was in a different location that didn't affect how things drained from the existing pond. Was that changed, was I not reading the plan correctly?
The plan that we saw before did not show any kind of a pipe or channel connecting the new pond with the old pond. Okay. And that's why it was questioned how this could possibly work. And so now I think we have an alternative here that could work. But the question becomes, like I think Mary mentioned, is this permittable? It's the town council opinion that a wetland permit wasn't required was silent on the question of what if this activity that impacts a resource area. And basically, I don't know, Mary, do you have the imagery I sent around at one point? But basically, the existing pond is the headwaters of an intermittent stream that crosses onto the town easement, or no, excuse me, the town strip of land that the town owns. So I would be concerned that we somehow need to maintain some flow in that stream. And I guess we need another town council opinion, Mary, if people agree. What if an agriculturally exempt activity has an impact on a resource area on an adjacent property, is it still exempt? That would be my question here.
Mhm.
And what I would suggest we get that answer. And but the other thing I want to say is, I think it's possible this could be designed to maintain some flow in the existing stream and then capture some water in the new pond, especially maybe high flow events could be diverted into the new pond. But I think we need to determine first about the permitting situation, and recall everybody that the DEP would be reviewing this application.
What did Jenna say about her father?
Excuse me?
Somebody needs to mute themselves.
Okay. Well, that was basically my thought on this. And what do other people think?
Can I jump in to explain something here real quick? I'm sorry.
Well, I'm asking the commission first, Jim. So just hold on, please.
So just to confirm that what we saw last time was probably not going to be adequate for these purposes. So that's why it's the location of the pond has moved. Is that correct?
And the diversion is now shown.
Okay, yeah. So I just want to be sure that is the best option. I'm not sure why the original was not stuck with, because if it's going to be used with rainwater, then it probably doesn't even matter where it is, as long as it holds water.
So
I personally didn't see how the original concept plan could work. I don't think there's enough of a drainage area that would feed into that pond to be usable, and I completely understand why the diversion is proposed.
So Mike, in this stream is an intermittent stream, correct?
That's correct, Tom.
Okay, so doesn't it only run during high flow events? Doesn't the irrigation pond capture most of it anyway? The first pond, I don't know what the term.
It's possible, yes.
So the second pond would be catching overflow.
If it was designed properly. Again, let's not. I suggest we don't get too far ahead of ourselves. I think the first question is, to be honest, is to go back to town council and ask the question, and maybe even ask the DEP, who oversees our work, whether this is considered agriculturally exempt or not. And then if it's not exempt, then I would ask Grace to work with the NRCS to maybe come up with a plan that would perhaps capture high flows in the new pond, but still allow some flow to support the stream, which is a resource area. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Mike,
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm just wondering what Mike thinks, what makes you feel that this is not exempt? I mean, even, I think even the
Because,
new plan could be considered exempt.
well, that's the question I would like to ask of town council and maybe the DEP too, because, the activity on the agricultural land is potentially having an impact on an adjacent resource area that's not on the agricultural land. Most of that stream.
Being Warren Brook?
Well, it's a trib of Warren Brook. It's an intermittent trib. And I did do near map imagery. I think Mary, if you could find it, that's okay if not, but that'll show the intermittent stream, and it even shows, that trail bridge that we have, Marcella, that stream crosses that, or the bridge crosses that stream.
Yeah.
So,
Grace, you had something to add. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Isn't
Jim
that
and
what the
Grace,
exemption is
please jump in now.
for? First of all, isn't that what the exemption is for? Second of all, is the SVT, remember that SVT are the partner in the CR has approved already. And thirdly, because this is going downhill, if there is high water flow events, water would still be flowing down to the brook. And because it is intermittent, it is only when there is plentiful water that the brook exists in the first place. So my thinking is the fact that there is another holding area, when the cup is full, it will flow out, and the cup is only so big. And with the engineer and NRCS's calculations on a normal regular rain event year, the thing will overflow. And in an irrigation pond / reservoir, it's especially important when you have water on the dry years, or when it is dry. That's the point.
Another question, say this goes into place and we want to determine how well it's working. Do you give it 1 year? Do you give it 3 years? At what point do you decide it's not working and restore I'm assuming that if it isn't working, you'd be able to restore the area and fill the pond again, or whatever, bring it back to this, what we've got here.
I mean, I guess it not working means there is no rain to fill or water to fill the reservoir, essentially. And the point being, it is sort of like the West Coast area dilemma right now. If it doesn't snow, then you don't have the runoff to fill the reservoir. So right now in winter is when we get all this water and such in spring. So you're filling the reservoir at that time. And anytime it rains, it fills. We're only really using water in the summer, right? Sparingly through the spring when it's natural rainfall, etc. We don't really need to irrigate. It's on the dry, when it is dry, when you have all these dry spells, that's when you need the holding capacity. Like, we have the water here. The point is, we have the water here. And as you know, we have the water here. It's just we don't have the water when we need it.
Well, I'm just wondering, the way I'm thinking it might not work is if that pond, say it's sandy and it just drains immediately. Like, if there's some conditions there that keep it from retaining water, that would be my idea of a failed, that it didn't work. And the fact that you're considering this a last resort, that kind of has me thinking that it might not work. What's your confidence level?
Oh, if you build the pond, if you construct the pond correctly, and Jim, you can, I think he can speak more to this. He's built many of ponds and constructed many of ponds even on his own farm. Like if you build it correctly and well, there's no reason why it shouldn't or wouldn't hold water. You know, it could be if it's not holding water, that's what pond liners are for as well. Impermeable surfaces to keep the water in from flowing into the ground. But we know that at 13 feet is bedrock. So it's just going to roll off right now. But, you know, that's in the pond construction sort of space. And it's the last resort because we know that a drilled well and a shallow well is not an option. So those are 2 of the 3 options to irrigate when it comes to farming. And because of that, so because we've already researched and, you know, gone through the processes of using those that way, like we can't do it. So in this sense, a pond is the last resort because that's the only other technique, I guess, if you want to call it, to get water.
Marcella, I agree with Grace that this could be designed, the new pond could be designed to hold water, whether it had a liner or a clay bottom, you know, whatever was required. I do think it would work. But you know, I just want to go back to, you know, my concern is first off a regulatory concern is, you know, does this require a permit or not? Because it would be impacting a resource area that is off of the property, off of the Five Forks Farm property. And that's a different question that was asked of town council previously when the pond was in a different location and there was no diversion shown on that concept plan. I have a similar comment related to SVT. SVT has not seen the current plan. They saw the old plan, which didn't have a diversion. In the conservation restriction that's on Five Forks Farm, the purposes section is worth a read. It includes agriculture, you know, preserving opportunity for agriculture, but also buried in there some distance near the bottom of that section is protection of water resources. So when SVT or the commission is evaluating a project like this, you should go back and look at those conservation values that were protected. Agriculture, the view, water resources. So I'm just saying SVT needs to have a look at this, given this new information. But again, Grace, I think, you know, if the engineering is done correctly, I think it might be possible to capture the water you need, but still maintain an acceptable flow in the intermittent stream. But that's an engineering question for NRCS. I personally think that. Now, if the opinion from town council and perhaps the DEP comes back that this is exempt entirely, even if there are, you know, basically off-site impacts, then you know, then we're kind of done in terms of this, and the question really becomes, you know, related to the CR rather than any permitting questions. You know, we have 2 roles here. One is to protect the resources as described in the CR, and the second is to regulate the Wetlands Protection Act. So,
just wondering, Jim, if you know of any precedent where this has come into question, whether wetland neighboring property is affected?
Jim, you're on mute.
Muted.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. There we go. Look at that. I thought I had it the other way around. Sorry. It's been my experience that the exemption has always trumped any other questions regarding off-site impact. So, Mike, I completely understand the concern of diversion. I think Grace explained it well with the cup design. If we have water flowing down from the upper pond, it'll take a course of a couple of weeks, especially in a heavy flow season, to fill this pond. Once it's full, any water flowing in, like you're filling the cup, will continue to flow out. There's no disruption to the intermittent stream on the site, never mind off of the site. The only time that we're going to use that water, Grace using this, well, I say we, but a farmer using the water, is when the rain isn't happening and the flow is stopping. So the intermittent isn't being disturbed or changed. We just now have a capacity to draw from that will allow her to sustain the dry periods that we're facing right now. So we're not really interrupting or changing the intermittency of that stream. We're just giving a place for water to sit. Again, Marcella, to answer your question, what we do is we use a clay material as that impervious core on the low side of the pond. And so we, when you question or talk about the effectiveness, if this thing is going to work, that's always worked for me. If we have to go back because we see leach coming through the ground, then we can use something like a rubber pond liner. But really what we're looking to do is this is all about holding capacity. I did the test holes for NRCS about a year ago when we first started looking at a shallow well, which would really be ideal. Agreed, least amount of disturbance. But what they found was that the ground did not have the holding capacity. And there's no recharge, essentially. So this last resort being the pond, because we've got to have a way to hold that water so that it's available when needed. But again, Mike, to your question, when you're drawing water for irrigation, you're drawing it out of the pond, but it's during a time when we don't have adequate rainfall. When we don't have adequate rainfall, that intermittent stream is not flowing. So we're really not actually changing anything. The stream comes down out of the upper pond, we then fill the lower pond, and then as soon as the lower pond is full, it will continue down the stream as it always has done in the same channels. There may be a section from the top and the bottom of where the entrance to the pond is and the exit of the pond of maybe, and I got to look closer at the plan, but this is where I had initially proposed this to be as well on site, is maybe a 250-foot section, which again, this is exactly the reason for the agricultural exemption. So you can send it back to town council, but I have all the confidence that you'll get the exact same answer that we got regarding this in the first place.
Okay. Any other comments from anybody? Grace or anyone? So what do people think the next step should be, commissioners?
I'm getting the sense that we would get the same answer from town council. Whether DEP has another opinion on it, that's a different question. But I don't think it's worth wasting our resources on town council to review this again.
I agree with you. I agree, Marcella.
I
think we have enough information.
I disagree. I think the fact that there's an off-site impact could potentially change things. And if there is an off-site impact and becomes a regulated activity, we can require the design to be more protective of the stream, the off-site stream. I think this design will more or less dewater the intermittent stream that flows from the existing pond to somewhere around the property line. I don't have any problem saying that impact is exempt. The only concern I have is the stream that's basically on town public property, whether it would be impacted or not. So I would actually like another opinion, from the DEP or town council or both.
I agree, Mike. Chris.
Who else is online? Does anyone else from the commission want to weigh in on this question? Alan's online.
Can you hear?
Yeah, Mike, this is Tom. I'm a bit ambivalent, frankly. I understand the concept. I do believe, that you make a point about, I'm not sure, because I wasn't at the last meeting, so I don't know how big this pond is, but I'm guessing it would certainly impact the offsite resources unless we had a really wet year. I mean, after the pond has water in it, I think everything would be as it has been. I just don't know, if it's going to fill up in the first spring or is it going to fill up over a course of 3 years with the use and everything. I don't really know, but I do not have a strong view on this one way or the other, to be frank.
Jim, what will this say it fills up? Will that provide enough water to manage the fields, the upper fields in a drought situation? And once it's empty, then what?
So we'll back up just a little bit. The design on this pond, we're looking at a maximum of about 2 weeks to fill this pond. So this is not a multi-year disruption or interruption. It's really only one small window of an extension of that intermittency of the stream itself. Because there's currently periods now where it will go, especially last summer, where you would see 6 weeks or longer without any water flow. So we're really talking the initial fill on the pond of about a 2 week period where we're looking at essentially disrupting that intermittency. My understanding in a quick look at this pond, we're looking at a holding capacity somewhere around 1.5 million gallons of water. Really an unbelievable resource that has the potential to be available for Grace. You need water, obviously, when we're real dry. For her, she can regulate usage. If we're looking at a very long dry period, she can look at my pond and say, okay, instead of watering every other day, maybe I'll go to every 4th day. But it makes such a difference to be able to have that available. When you don't have it, you're toast. And we saw that statewide this past year. I do know, also being in the same position with Grace, there is a bit of time of the essence. The NRCS has, there is some cost sharing available to her, and we don't really want to miss windows and not get this program or this project enrolled. So if we do go back out to town council again, we do go back out and around, my concern is that we could miss getting everything scheduled to get this project off the ground this year. I do understand Mike's point that the SVT, what they approved was the preliminary design that we had seen last week or 2 weeks ago at that prior meeting. Mike, I would say, I don't believe that SVT is going to vote one way or another regarding the way they're not waiting for conservation to make a decision. I would say that conservation could make their own decision. And then when SVT gets a hand on it, looks at it and approves, then Grace would have both necessary approvals. So I hope that answers some of the questions there.
And as far as I know, the funding round is next Friday. And if it doesn't go into that pool, then the next round will be at the end of May. And you're missing the opportunity to catch all the spring rain and potentially go from, as far as I know, it's 3 times a year. They this round next Friday, a May, and then the fall round. And
How soon could we get a response from either or both DEP or SVT? Is the DEP, somehow I don't think that's going to be a quick answer.
But I often will, I've been in the habit of calling them if needed. And if they feel like it's something they can just say over the phone, they certainly will respond. I could call them tomorrow. If they feel like they need more time, I know they are busy, so.
Well, I would have more confidence in DEP's opinion than town council.
Completely understood. So just quick question. This is, kind of a way around it would be, would it not make sense to do a conditional approval pending town council's opinion regarding the exemption again and DEP's opinion on the plan as designed by NRCS for the farm? I mean, it would take, that seems to be the hangup, is regarding if these two other bodies approve it or give their blessing. It doesn't sound to me that it's a conservation question. Your hangup is if these other folks would say yes or no. If it's denied by DEP and or not found to be exempt by town council, it would make sense then, of course, we come back to conservation. But from our perspective here, it makes sense to say, hey, we don't want to be the cog in the wheel, in trying to get this project off the ground and support Five Fork in this endeavor.
I would be open to a conditional approval.
Yeah, I would agree. I would like to hear from SVT and from DEP. Those are the two entities I feel need to weigh in.
I would agree with that as well. I think we need to be careful in terms of the regulatory issue. I think maybe someone could make a motion. I don't know if we could put it all into one motion. There's really two questions. One is a pond in the proposed location consistent with the conservation restriction? That's one question. The second issue is the permitting issue. I'm not very good at making motions on the fly, but I guess I would start a motion to make a motion that the commission has determined that the proposed irrigation pond is consistent with the agricultural purposes of the conservation restriction. However, we need further clarification regarding the permit requirements, Wetland Protection Act permit requirements. The pond is conditionally approved pending receipt of further information about the permitting question. How's that for a horrible motion, guys?
Sounds great. Second.
Actually, I would want to bring mention SVT as part of that motion, not just the regulatory stuff, but SVT is a part of it. They need to be part of the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So if we could just throw SVT into that would be great.
Mary, could you read that whole thing back if you captured it?
This is her test.
Or maybe even edit it as you go, so it's better.
The commission has determined that the pond is consistent with the agricultural purposes of the conservation restriction. And then I'm adding here, SVT will need to also determine that. And then we need further clarification about the Wetland Protection Act requirements from DEP. If that comes back that it is exempt, then the pond is conditionally approved.
This is Chris. I agree.
Sounds good. I'll make that motion.
I'll make the motion, and do we have a second? Do we have a second?
Second.
I second.
Excellent. Okay. So let's do a roll call voice vote. I'll start. Marcella?
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Alan,
Aye.
Sandy,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
and Mike. I didn't forget anyone, did I?
Dave?
He's not here tonight.
He's not here. He's not
Okay.
here. Okay. All right. Jim, Grace, is that acceptable? I hope that's acceptable to you two folks, and I hope you can get your grant application in
Absolutely.
with this determination.
It makes perfect sense. I like the way we did it. You know, we include the other folks that are involved in this process. You know, you get the comfort from clarification regarding the exemption. I know this has been a lot of energy and a lot of work on everybody's part in this, and I, you know, as a fellow farmer, I want to say thank you for the time in this, and everybody's work. And I'm sure we'll continue to work together. It's just this is a big step for this project and for Grace. I know that.
Yeah,
I
I
hope
will.
we can meet the deadlines and get this, you know, should it be approved, get it rolling for the Friday deadline, if possible.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you both. And we'll, should we schedule you to be on the agenda for 2 weeks? Next meeting is on the 22nd.
Yeah, I'll be here.
About 7 o'clock, 22nd. So good. Okay. Thank you. Thank you both. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Right.
Okay. 7:15. Well, 7:15. The Robertson Family Conservation Restriction Trail Bridge. I don't have much of an update on that. I think I'm still waiting from the DCS to give us a final determination whether or not a mitigation area can be constructed on the Robertson property. And once the DCR, makes that determination, then we need to go to the Robertsons to ask if they would consider allowing us to build a replication area on their property. And if that's not the case, I think the alternative would be to create a replication area either at Steffens or perhaps at Mechanic Street, which quite possibly will require its own wetland replication area, because there's a couple of there's at least 2 stream crossings, possibly 1 or 2 wetland crossings required to establish a trail system at Mechanic Street. So I guess I'd just like to continue this for maybe for a month, and then we might have better information about whether or not we can build a mitigation area on the Robertson property. And then also it'll be easier to evaluate potential mitigation sites once the soil is thought out. You can actually look at the soils. So that's the update there. Any questions about that? Okay, thank you. The other thing is just for people to know that the Trails Grant application was submitted last week for the trail bridge. Okay, so
Mike, I just want to thank you for doing all the work on that. I
you're
really
welcome.
appreciate it.
You're welcome. I hope we get the grant for the bridge. I think it'll be an exciting project. If we should thank Marcella too for she helped out here, participated, and she's also taken the lead on the trail mapping, establishing a new trail on Mechanic Street.
Thank you, Marcella. We appreciate you. I appreciate you very much.
What Mike's doing, I'm just sitting on my butt and twiddling my thumbs. Mike
It's my backyard, so I on a personal
That's right,
level
yeah.
and a professional level. Appreciate it.
just keep on doing.
Okay, if nothing else about that, let's go to the 7:30. We have an RDA for 91 Glen Avenue, construction of a deck. Mary, could you read the public notice? I don't have a copy of it.
Okay. It'll take me a minute to find it. Sorry about this. Here it is. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the Wetland Protection Act that the Upton Conservation Commission will hold the following public meetings on Wednesday, February 8th, 7:30 p.m. Request for a determination of applicability filed by Kang Ta for the construction of a deck at 91 Glen Ave, map 23, parcel 23.
Okay. Is someone here?
Yes. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, could you identify yourself, please?
Yes, my name is Kang Ta. I'm the general contractor working on 91 Glen Ave in a proposal for building a deck.
Okay, thank you. Mary, do you have any? Oh, great.
Yeah, I can share the plans. A second here.
So, is there anyone else on the call or the meeting
Yes.
regarding this RDA?
Yep, we're the property owners, David and Barb Lundbaum.
Okay, thank you.
And also Jose De Silva with TransBlue General Contractor.
Okay. Mary, do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, so this is an existing single-family home which has a stream flowing near it. They already have an existing brick patio off the rear of their house. They are proposing to remove it and replace it with a deck. It will be basically in the same footprint except slightly smaller because there's a brick retaining wall that will remain. The deck will have some sonotubes, I believe, as a foundation. So in the end, it will be a decrease in impervious area because underneath the deck, I believe, will be gravel, or it won't be like the bricks. It is about 20 feet from this intermittent stream, which is why they are before us tonight. They have not proposed any erosion controls. I don't think they're necessary because of the existing brick retaining wall. And I can show you pictures of that. Oh, wrong one. So here is the existing brick patio and the intermittent stream running very close by. The deck will, I think it'll be about a foot away from the retaining wall here. And this will be a planter here. And here you can see the retaining wall better. The retaining wall is staying. And here's a view of the house from the stream. So my recommendations were to issue a negative determination with this, with just an inspection to make sure the work is done properly and there's no impact.
Any questions from the commission for Mary or the applicant?
No questions.
Okay. Well, if there are no questions, I would entertain a motion to issue a negative determination here.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, let's have a roll call vote. Let's see. Sandy,
Yes.
Chris,
Hi.
Alan,
Aye.
Marcella,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
and Mike. Aye. I feel I got everybody.
Oh, and I forgot to say, Mike, there's a just just want to say so people know I'm friends with the homeowners. Barbara's my friend, so just so that you know, there's in case there's conflict of interest.
Thanks for that. Thanks for that. Always good to disclose those kinds of things.
And it was good that you disclosed it after the vote, Mary.
Good going. Very smart.
Interesting. Okay, so so Mary, despite her terrible conflict of interest, will be drafting up the determination, negative determination for this work. I imagine it will have a standard condition about erosion control, etc. But other than that, any other discussion?
Yeah,
Okay.
just I was thinking no erosion control was needed because all of the work is pretty much contained in the behind that retaining wall.
Okay. Okay. Never mind. You have Mary will so we voted to Mary, will you let us know when the paperwork is ready to sign, and then we can come by and sign it, or do you have enough blanks?
I have enough blanks, and so I can. What I have been doing is I don't have a draft determination on this one, but we can approve the draft determination next meeting, and then I can issue it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Thanks a lot, folks. Next.
Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. Next, we have an RDA for 11 Hartford Avenue for an addition to a modular home. Is there an applicant here? Peter. Hello, Peter.
Yes. Peter, I'm here for the representative. I'm the representative for 11 Hartford Ave.
And Mike, should we read the notice on this one too?
Yes, we should. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Peter.
No, it's all right.
Notice is hereby given in accordance with the Wetlands Protection Act that the Upton Conservation Commission will hold the following public meeting on Wednesday, February 8th. 7:40 p.m. Request for determination of applicability filed by Rolf and Deborah Whitney for the construction of a modular home addition at map 204, parcel 67.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Peter, could you, Mary, maybe you could share the plans and Peter could talk us through it.
Okay. Can everyone see that? I will zoom in.
Zoom in, please. Thank you.
Screen.
Okay, Peter, you're up.
Okay. So we have an existing home at 11 Hartford Ave. Hartford Ave runs along the bottom of the screen. You see the existing house in the center. It is a walkout, so the front yard is higher, and it drops down. The whole yard from the front slopes to the wetland in the back, and the grass goes right up to the wetland line, and then there is a small intermittent stream that runs through the back of it. So we're proposing an addition out the back, which is 15 by 48 with a deck. It will be a walkout on the right-hand side of the addition, and then because that'll get rid of that grading that's in that area. So the grading will stay the same in the backyard. They changed it to a walkout, so there'd be no grading from the house to the 50-foot buffer. So they did receive a special permit, and that's why they got permission to put this addition on. I'm also proposing to recharge the addition's roof runoff into 4 Cultec chambers in the back. And I'm also proposing concrete bounds along the 30-foot no disturb. There's 3 of them. So there's one on the left property line, one in the center, and one just before the property line in the right corner of the lot. We are proposing wattles through the whole back of the yard to control any kind of runoff, but the backyard is flat. It's just higher on the left-hand side, but once they dig that foundation in, that will stop any runoff from going into the backyard. That's basically it. We're just trying to get permission to put the addition in. I guess the modular home was supposed to be delivered on the 13th, but they did push it to the 22nd. That's what they told me.
Mary, can you give us your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I had no concerns with the plan. I like the construction entrance and the roof being drained. Now, Peter, this is only draining the addition, right? Not the existing house.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, it's just the addition.
Yeah, that's fine. My main comments were that in the wetland, the homeowners have been putting their leaves there and some brush. And I did talk to the new occupants of the addition today, and they sounded like they definitely wanted to get that cleaned up anyway. But that might be one condition we put on the determination, that this area is cleaned up with leaves. And then the only other thing is, they have felt a crunch for time, so they have already started the work. The whole foundation hole is dug. So these are pictures from a week ago when they had just started the excavation. They did have their erosion controls up. And this is kind of from the driveway looking back. The canoe is pretty much at the wetland edge. And here is the intermittent stream with the wetland and all the leaves and some brush. And there's skunk cabbage trying to come through it all. So my recommendation would be to have them clean out the wetland area. The erosion controls look good. And then I know I have talked to the applicants. It is a tough situation, which is why they went ahead and got started beforehand. But I had asked them to wait. So they did call me about it. The building department kind of told them they could proceed at their own risk type thing. So.
Okay, anyone on the commission have any questions or comments about this?
Oh, I had a comment about the bounds. I think it's great Mr. Lavoie put them in. They are going to end up being in the middle of the lawn. So since this house is not subject to the bylaw, we may not want to require them, but it would be up to the commission. It is nice that they have included them. I don't know, we may end up just mowing around them, but maybe it'd be helpful just as a reminder to know that, there is wetland back there.
We used to require bounds before we had a bylaw.
Okay.
So I think I would hope that the bounds would stay and that the area beyond the bounds would not be mowed.
Okay. Yep.
I basically put them there to prevent any more leaves going into the wetlands. I figured that, like you said, that would be a reminder, and they didn't have an issue with it when I suggested it.
Okay, great.
Any other comments from the commission? All right. I'll entertain entertain a motion to issue a negative determination for 11 Hartford Ave.
So moved.
There a second?
Second.
A second. Any discussion?
No.
Okay. All right. Voice vote. Sandy,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Marcella,
Aye.
Alan,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
and Mike, aye. Hope I didn't forget anybody. Okay. Mary, same game plan. Draft up a.
This one, I did prepare the determination ahead of time because I knew they were in a hurry and wanted to issue it so they would actually be legal with what they're doing. So I do have it prepared, but I would just need to edit it to say no mowing beyond the bounds. Everything else is on there, an inspection beforehand and an inspection afterwards, and to clean up the leaves. And I do have the determination right here if you want to look at it. I don't think I emailed it out ahead except for in the packet. Of course, it looks funny here. Boy, it does not like this. I should have downloaded it. At any rate, if people want to go ahead and approve me issuing the determination with the conditions that I mentioned.
Yeah. Yes. Do we need a motion for that, Mary, or did we already vote already?
Sure. Why don't you make a motion, because that's what you have been doing.
Okay. So I'll make a motion that Mary is authorized to issue the determination for 11 Hartford Ave, which includes conditions that she has discussed at this meeting.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
No.
Voice vote again. Sandy,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Marcella,
Aye.
Alan,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
and Mike, aye. Okay, great. Thanks very much, Peter.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks.
Okay, one thing we will not have Governor's Landing on tonight. They've requested an extension for, I believe, a month. So I guess we could just go up to general business, administrator's report. Mary?
Yeah, do we need to motion to continue Governor's Landing?
Oh, geez. I guess we do. I know planning board always does that. I mean, we haven't very often done it, but do we have a time? Do you have a time in their meeting? They requested a month, right? Which would be on the 22nd of March.
It would be March 8th, I think.
Oh, okay, March 8th. Okay. So I'll make a motion that the hearing for Governor's Landing be continued until March 8th, time to be determined.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
No.
Roll call vote. Sandy,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Marcella,
Aye.
Alan,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
and Mike, aye. Hey.
All right. So for my administrator's report, I think maybe the biggest news is we have hired the administrative assistant for the office. And it's, yay! A young woman named Grace Brownell, and she will be starting, I believe, and I'm not sure on this, March 6th. She is pursuing a degree in master's in planning with a focus kind of on environmental justice. So this, I think, will be a great place for her to learn some of the nitty gritty, maybe more than she wanted to know. But, so this, we're looking forward to having her. Tom, I was near your house today on Warren Street. Your neighbor's putting up a garage, and was just looking at the drainage ditch on his property, which I believe is not a resource area. So I signed off on his permit.
Yeah, that's been there for 30 years, over 30 years. It was there before I moved in.
Yeah, it's quite a ditch.
Yeah, we actually have a ditch going from their property to the back of mine.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's fine. It drains off mine too, and it's a wet hill.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of seeps. It's, there's no standing water anywhere.
Right.
But it just seeps out all over the place.
Right. I think there's a lot of places like that in Upton.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it kind of ends up in the wetlands down on the Robertson property, it looked like.
Oh, yeah, it goes down to the brook.
Yeah.
Can we channel it to Five Fork Farm?
Yeah, no kidding.
I was just thinking that, Marcel.
You have to go uphill.
Yeah, and there's an issue on 97 Grove Street. They're thinking of building there, and there was a question as to whether the stream on that property is intermittent or perennial. If you remember, across the street at 100 Grove Street, I think they ended up deciding that it was dry for 4 consecutive days, and you guys ended up deciding it was intermittent. But this is actually downstream, and it'll be interesting to see, because both on the USGS map, is it considered perennial? And if you run stream stats, it's supposed to be perennial. So I don't know if it dries up or not on their property.
Wasn't it a drought year that we were looking at that? I mean, there was a serious drought going. I think I remember that, and it was a big question.
Right, and if there is a drought, then you're not allowed to use the 4 days. So.
Not sure it was officially like it may not have the drought declaration may not have been happening exactly at that point.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's by the intersection, right, of Grove Street and what? Okay, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't the one further up. Yep.
Yeah, that's right. No, so this empties into Centerbrook, but
okay.
Yeah. And I think that's pretty much it for my report.
Okay. Administrative report, I guess. Anything to add there, Mary? Or
we do have some vouchers to approve, which I should pull up for you guys. The first voucher is for Gatehouse Media, which I should have put on the last agenda. So I called Chris and said, can you quickly approve it so we can pay it, so we can pay our newspaper ads? So that maybe we just need to formally, there's that one. And then the next one, let me pull it up on the screen. This is the Gatehouse Media one. And then we got the bill for Beaver, the annual Beaver control bill. And then there was a sign this was for peppercorn from Sunshine Signs. So we need to approve those 2 vouchers.
I make a motion we pay our bills.
second? Second, okay. Roll call vote, please, if there's no discussion. Okay. Sandy?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Marcella?
Aye.
Alan?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
And Mike? And Mike, aye.
Yeah, and just on that sunshine sign, I was going to pull that out of the Concom expense, unless under the land stewardship, unless I hear otherwise.
Sounds fine. Okay, financial update.
Yeah, that is in the packet at the very end. So this is assuming that we just approved the bills. This is having paid those bills that I just mentioned. So that's why the general expense account looks low with $1,400 in it. But I believe, Mike, one of the other things we paid, we're going to get reimbursed on, like a $4,000 one or something.
Yes, for the forestry, forest management.
Yeah.
Plan. We need to do that. I'll have to follow up on that to see if those plans were approved by the DCR. As I understand, once they're approved, then we can ask for reimbursement.
Okay. Otherwise, it's just minor changes in, I believe it's just the Wetland Protection Fund and the Wetland Bylaw Fund that have changed since the last meeting. So.
If we need to vote, I approve that we pay those bills.
Okay. Any questions for Mary on this? All right. Website, Alan.
Nothing new to report.
Okay. Thanks. Open Space Committee, Mr. Taylor, are you on?
I am on, and there's really nothing to report. We're just starting work on the 100 acres off of Fay Mountain and then the land off of Barber's Path.
Okay, land stewardship, Marcella.
Well, we're still plugging away at working on the trails at the Mechanic Street property. Mike and I are planning to go up there and do some flagging and GPSing. And then the other big thing is that if you go up to the Warren Brook parking area on Grafton Road, there's some changes. There we have Mike had ordered some material to create it's kind of an elevated area where vehicles could drive into the Warren Brook trails. So that looks pretty good. Is that completed, Mike, or is there any more work that needs to be done?
No, I think it's complete.
Okay, great. Thank you.
We ordered 20 cubic yards of gravel, and Greg Trussell spread it this morning.
And it looks pretty good, at least from the pictures. But thanks for organizing, making that happen. That was great. That happened very quickly. Appreciate it. I think that's it for for land stewardship.
Okay. Anyone want to talk about any of the ongoing items? Okay. Site visits as Azalea Drive is still to be determined. Approve and sign documents. Do we have any minutes?
No minutes. And I think we approved the one document I had ready for 11 Hartford Ave. I did forget to say in my agent's report, though, that we may want to discuss 85 Crockett.
Oh, yes. Would that be a new item? It just came up recently, right?
Yeah, that would probably be a new item. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, after we stop recording, we'll talk about 85.
Let's go through meeting minutes, timesheets, expense vouchers. We already did. Anything else that we need? Timesheets. can I sign those for Chris if Chris is not available? Or do you need, does Chris sign them? I don't know how this works.
Well,
You're the vice president, aren't you? You should be able to sign them.
I don't think we signed.
Yeah, I think I mean, I guess you guys were signing them before. I don't know. When I arrived, Sandy said that she was signing them, and now the new planner is signing them for me. So
Okay, all right. Yeah, actually, that was the question I have. Do you report to the new planner or to Joe?
yeah, now I report to the new planner. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, he is actually
Land use something is his title.
right, and actually the building inspector reports to him as well.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay. Cool. Okay. Back to 85 Crockett Road, which many of us probably remember.
Yeah, I found the file and I saw that it was 2 inches thick, and that wasn't even ours. That was the building department file. I haven't even pulled ours out yet. So then I realized it was an issue.
It's hard for me to tell from whether work has it looks the same as it did all those years ago when we first looked at it. It didn't look like any new work had been done. Am I just not seeing it, or is that really the case?
I don't know. I believe there has been a new complaint from the neighbors, which is maybe instigated the building commissioner taking a close look at it. In general, the site is sloppy. I guess the main thing I noticed was wondering about, and it looks like, and maybe you guys remember this, it looks like in the file there was something about them having to get a Chapter 91 permit. I was concerned that this structure here seems awfully close to the neighbors, even, and I don't know, like in Webster, there were none of these. I don't know if these are because the lake gets drawn down or what, but I noticed several people have them. I'm not sure if they're legal though, but I'm not sure we want to get into that, because if they're not legal, then 10 other people have illegal structures in the water.
Mary, could you explain a little bit what we're looking at exactly? Do those have like a wire mesh? And we're just seeing the structure that holds up the wire mesh. Is that what we're seeing?
Boy, I wish I had the pic. I wish I could show you the picture from. Yeah, they look funny from up above.
But is there wire mesh involved so people can walk over?
I don't think. I think this is for holding a boat.
All right.
And I think like this dock doesn't seem to have its decking on it. Yeah, for here, I mean, I guess you can have 2 docks. It's not but we might want to make sure they have permits for both of them.
Is that a cradle, Mary?
Maybe that's what that is, Tom. Yeah.
Is this to hold the boat when the water level goes down? Or?
I think so. Although they've got their boats, at least one boat parked on shore here. And one boat there, obviously.
Forget you like your own stuff. Hey, Worthy? Any pain?
Well, Mary, I suggest maybe you go through the file.
Okay.
All 2+ inches of it. And maybe give us some guidance at the next meeting about what we should do if we need to issue an enforcement order or do a friendly intervention.
Well, Mary, what's the question?
Filing.
Yeah.
Why are we acting here?
Well, I think the building department has written a letter under the nuisance bylaw, I believe, just complaining about they got stuff everywhere. They got stockpiles, like this is stockpiles of building materials right kind of next to the lake. And that's kind of a concern of the building department. I mean, in general, I don't know, it's just kind of in general.
Okay, so it's them. So we could make an assessment and then follow up. Maybe
right. We could also
let them take the lead and see where they go with it.
Yeah. And it
Yeah.
looks like from the file, it's been back and forth for 20 years.
Oh, yeah.
which-
Oh,
yeah.
This
Are
is a
there-
site I got my husband to come out with me when I had to do a site visit to approve or something, and I was so nervous of this man.
Okay.
I brought my dog and my husband, so.
I think he's really interesting.
Yeah, he's quite.
a really smart guy. But it was definitely. I was expecting to see this project finished by now, but
No, this is never going to be finished, Marcella. This is his life's work.
Are there
Tend
any
to agree
actual
with that.
wetlands violations there that that's our business. We don't need to do if people are just complaining about other things, that's really not our job.
But we could issue an enforcement order on all his violations. So, did he
Right.
ever finish his septic system?
Well, yeah,
the Presby system, yeah.
Yeah, the septic
It is?
system has a certificate of compliance, but I would think there should be an order of conditions for the house, right? I haven't found that yet.
Much of it was built before we even knew, pieces and parts. And,
Okay.
And built it before
he rearranged the waterfront for himself while we weren't looking. Oh, yeah, it's been.
Oh, so he did some
He's
fill
had
and
free
stuff?
reign over there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting. So.
Are the neighbors just complaining about the debris, or are there other problems that the neighbors are encountering?
I'm wondering if they're complaining about this cradle here, because it is right on their kind of waterfront. And I know that you're supposed to be at least 18 to 25 feet off with anything, I think. So.
Yeah, we could make a list of his violations and be ready with an enforcement order.
Yeah.
That would take a couple of weeks of your time, Mary.
Document.
You might also check through Nearmap. I think it goes back to 2014 or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Maybe see if we can pick up any site changes in the last 6-8 years.
When did he last come before us? We were still meeting at Nipmuc. That's some time ago.
Yeah. The septic was like 2011 or something. That was a long time ago.
That's the last time we dealt with him was the septic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
According to my feeble memory.
Okay. All right. Anything else on this, or anything else that anyone wants to mention? Okay. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. Roll call vote. Sandy,
Hi.
Chris,
Aye.
Marcella,
Hi.
Alan,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
and Mike. Aye. Okay.
All right. The other nurse is not at his
Thank you,
Good night,
everybody.
everybody.